The following content deals with metaphysical concepts and is not meant to take the place of therapy or to provide life advice. Opinions expressed are those of the guests. Welcome everybody to Spirit Talkers Beyond the Veil. I am Paula deMontigny and I am the host, and today I am with the lovely and talented Kyla A. Edwards.
Hi. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with letting you know Kyla's written a book.
My first book.
Her first book. Yay! Tarot, etc. I am a witch of memoir. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about her business and what she does and all these amazing things that a lot of you might be going, what is that? What does that mean? And this is why we're here. This is the podcast to demystify the woo-woo. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
Yes.
Say we're all normal people.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, you know, what's normal? Yeah, it's normal. We're all people. We're all people. We all have different, likes, dislikes, and we're all, I think we're more interesting actually, but that's just my take on it.
Not boring.
Not boring. That's what life is all about, right? I think life has to be an adventure.
It is an adventure.
Yeah.
It just keeps going and going and going, and you take the opportunities as you go. I've definitely noticed that with my career. I can look all the back to day one and see how it all added up to complete the circle today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come right back to that.
Yeah.
First, I want to introduce Kyla, and then we'll go right back to what she just said, because I'm super curious. Okay, so, you know what? No, she can tell us. She can tell us, because it's more interesting than me reading it, I would say. So
Sure.
Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? So you're talking about going back to day one and how this all started and what you do and tell us about you.
It's a lot. I wear many, many hats. So, going back to day one would be back to my parents. My dad was an occultist. He sat second of 9 for the Satanic Council.
Wow.
So I am not a Satanist. I was raised by Satanic parents. However, I am not one. I don't identify as any organized religion whatsoever. My mother was also a Satanic witch, but she also identified as all kinds of other things as well. She was very magical, and they left the church when I was quite young. So I don't have too many memories, but my first memories are of the ceremonies, are of the robes and the chanting and all their hooded parties and that kind of stuff. And my parents recognized my psychic and mediumship abilities right off the hop. As soon as I started talking, I was talking to my dead twin brother that they were trying to keep secret from me.
Oh, wow.
So that sparked a huge thing there. They recognized and encouraged all of my psychic abilities except for that one, which you can read a bit about in my book. But they encouraged everything. They taught me how to see and listen to spirits, how to see auras and colors. Like, they encouraged all of that stuff ever since I can remember my whole life. And when I was 11, my dad gave me my first tarot deck. So I started then, and it just came to me naturally. So I've been reading tarot for over 40 years now.
Wow.
I've got clients all over the world. It's a second language for me. Tarot runs through my blood, I swear. I've got my spirit guide, Jack, and a couple of other spirit guides that I use as counsel as well. And it wasn't for some time until I realized that mediumship and the tarot reading were connected. So that was a huge epiphany for me 20 years into it as well, which changed how I read tarot completely.
I bet.
What else? I'm a licensed funeral director. I'm a licensed mortician, which is being a mortician, that is a post-mortem vascular surgeon. So I've got that. I'm also specially trained in severe trauma restoration as well. So I can put anybody back together.
Oh, wow.
What else? I've got my crematorium operator's license. I'm also master of funeral ceremonies as well.
Oh, wow.
So, and I've taken that a step further to offer pagan funeral rites. My whole entire career in the funeral industry, I was like, where's all the witches? Where's all the metaphysical stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that. So, I offer that, which is huge as well. I do spirit crossing over as well. I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been to some pretty amazing places across the states, including I spent 3 weeks in Salem. I spent 3 weeks in New Orleans. I went to the Overlook Hotel over Halloween. Where else am I forgetting? The Croke Patterson Mansion, Cheeseman Park. I've been to all these places. My husband and I were married on Halloween. So every Halloween we go, he entertains this side of me, and he'll let me pick a haunted destination that I want to go investigate. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah. What else? High Priestess. I'm a 3rd level High Priestess of the Melchizedek order. That's pre-Christian as well. That's ancient Egyptian healing modality of Sikkim.
That's one of my questions, is like, what is that?
So we've all heard of Reiki, right? That's just one element. Reiki is the earth element. Okay. Sikkim is incorporating all 4 elements.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty powerful. Anybody can use it. You don't have to go for initiations. I love formal ceremony and stuff like that, right? I do. But, we all have that power to call it in on our own without, getting a certificate from anywhere to do it. It's energy manipulation. And once you learn how to do that, all 4 elements are there for you to use. Yeah. So it's pretty fascinating stuff. Huh. Yeah.
You were right. Jack of all trades, right? You've done so many things. You wear many hats. I think that's fascinating. I think that's also something about, I have to say it, Gen X. Like, we just try anything, and we're adventurous, and we want to do everything.
No
right?
fear for Gen X.
We just jump out and say, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. I'm interested in it, right? Yeah. And I say, why not? If you're called to tarot, or I have to ask, you say, I am a witch. What is a witch?
I am a witch. So, it's got bad labels all over the place, right? And, I don't like labels at all. I don't, but I put it on my book because I want to bring it back, not labels, but to take away the stigma of such things. Ever since I was a little girl, I got ridiculed in elementary school because my parents' reputation with the Satanic Church. My grade 3 teacher, who was very Christian, found out about it. And back in those days, they were still saying the Lord's Prayer in class. Well, my teacher was. And she would peer at me over her glasses and shoo me out of the classroom. And that left me with a heavy stigma. And so ever since I was a kid, I've been called a witch and this and that. Your parents are witches and blah, blah, blah. And witch isn't a bad thing. It's, if you look up the old definition of it, it's a healing. It's magical. It's manipulation of energy. It goes way back to our pagan roots, Pagans, and even pre that, the Druids, they recognized that the water and even the sparkles on the water held energy and magic, what we call magic today. And when you learn how to incorporate all that together, bang, you've got witchcraft. So that took a terrible turn, as we all know, in the medieval times, with the Salem witch trials and all that kind of stuff. So witch got a bad name, but it's not bad. What kind of witch are you comes from your heart. Yeah. It comes from your heart. It comes from the heart of the person practicing the magic or the energy healing or whatever that is. So, I'm not bad. Look at me, right? Exactly. I've been practicing witchcraft. I remember drawing pentagrams with purpose with crayon when I was 5. So.
Yeah. I think that's really important to say too, because as we're demystifying everything, I think people don't know things because they don't know the history of it.
Absolutely.
So a lot of the times we have to look at, where did this come from? What is the lineage? And then you get a better understanding, right, of what exactly things are and what they meant.
Absolutely. And that's what drove me to study the occult. I've been studying the occult my whole life as well. And now I teach the occult. I give occult lectures and presentations as well, just to enlighten people. And no matter who you study, what you study, it all comes back to the same thing. It's what that person believes, and it's that perception. And perception of the individual is a very powerful thing. So you can't really put a label on it. You just can't when your mind's that open and you actually take that time to educate yourself.
Yeah.
I've had people not want to work with me anymore because I use the word occult on my business card. Ooh.
Wow.
It just means hidden things, hidden natural forces, or, things that are hidden to the general public, mysteries, energy. All these things are invisible because it's energy, and that makes it weird as well, right?
Yeah.
Just like talking to spirits. It's strange that they're invisible, but once you get over that fact, you can actually hear them. And I love teaching that to other people, teaching mediumship and psychic development and all that stuff. I just love it so much. So I do. I love it. I love seeing the light go off and them get it and start receiving their own guidance from their own guides.
Totally. And I think, do you believe that anybody can do that?
Yes, I do. Yeah. We're all born with it. People say, oh, it's a gift. It's not. It's our natural empowerment. We naturally have those things within us. Mm-hmm. All of us. It just depends on what limited beliefs you've put on yourself. And limiting beliefs start, as in the school system or from our parents, or you can't do that, or that's not true, or that's crazy. You start to build that up all over yourself, dulling your shine, so to speak, and your ability to receive your own information. But we all have those spirit guides, which is our higher self, and then from there, right? So it's amazing.
It is, isn't it? Once you start to delve into everything. I had a guest the other day who's opposite and doesn't believe in anything beyond the physical realm. And I kept saying to him, but don't you sometimes feel when you walk into a room, the energy, what do you call that? Isn't that intuition? And he's like, yeah, but that's normal. I said, well, so is seeing spirits, so is bringing forth magic, so is creating things, right? I said, we're all here to create, we're all here to manifest. It's a matter of taking things out of nothing and bringing it into 3D matter. And that's all we're really doing.
Absolutely. I say that a lot when I'm reading tarot. Tarot does a good job, plus, the mediumship that comes along with it. It'll take the ideas out of their head and bring it through the tarot cards, right? Because there's no, I don't know you. It's spirit telling me, right? I take no credit. I take no blame. When I'm at work, I step out of the way. And it does a good job of that. It takes it from the ethereal, from the 5D, and it brings it here to the 3D, which makes it tangible. Yeah. Now maybe you can do something about it, right? Once it's out of your head and it's on the table, you can do that. Back to what you're saying about people that don't believe, the atheists or whatever you want to call them. I face a lot of that in the funeral industry, right? Oh, and being master of funeral ceremonies, I'm like, how do I comfort somebody that's just suffering and doesn't believe? I wish I would have brought it, but there's this, it's written by somebody named Aaron, I can't remember his last name, but it's a huge thing on why you would rather have a scientist speak at your funeral than, say, a religious clergy. And it all comes down to the law of energy, conservation of energy. You cannot create or destroy energy. It comes down to the BTUs coming off of us talking right now, how energy cannot be created or destroyed. It does move on. And it's really quite powerful. And I try to read it everywhere, every ceremony that I do, because I know there's a couple everywhere you go, right? And got to try at least try to think of it that way. Change your perception at least. You don't have to go all woo-woo. Look at it scientifically. It's still there. Why would spirit be any different?
I agree. Yeah. And also on top of that is, I always think of, I think science is really proving a lot of the metaphysical kind of modalities and beliefs that have been around for centuries. They've caught up, I always like to say, right? And doing that through quantum physics is one way. And so what do you think of all that? Like,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Back to the basics.
Yeah.
It's been a long, hard road. And when we get back to those basics, it goes right back to the Druids. The Druids, there's no real record of them, but they're our first quote unquote magical people, but they were scientists. They were doctors. They didn't necessarily believe in spirit and all that kind of stuff. They wanted the facts. They went with the roots and the trees and the electricity between each plant. So it comes down to that when you connect it all together, and it's hard to tell people, I see ghosts when they've never seen a ghost. How are you supposed to, of course not. But once they do, it's a whole different ball game. right? A lot of people that come and sit across from me at the tarot table think they're crazy. I'm like, you're not crazy, you're just psychic.
Yeah.
You know, undeveloped psychic abilities can be very scary.
Oh, yeah.
Even 100 years ago, you know, they were lobotomizing us for even suggesting such things, right? So
Yeah.
it's good that the ball is rolling.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to help a lot of people with their mental health and other realms of it, like your emotions, your mental thoughts and everything create pain and resistance and energy that's not moving in your body, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So if we can work with people and say, no, you can control that by changing your beliefs, then how much are people going to heal?
That's right. And then go further to explain to them that this pain and suffering and all these hard things, they're only relative to this third dimension. This is the only dimension, or, you know, anywhere in the universe that we suffer those things. It's an earthbound thing. We don't take those with us, right? And when we can try to explain it to them that way, even these emotions, these horrible emotions that we feel, jealousy, rage, sadness, all these kinds of things, they're earthbound stuff that's in this school, you know? So this is school. We're here for 2 seconds, you know? And when people start to actually realize that and apply it to their lives, it makes things a lot better.
All right. So we're talking about the other realms, quantum physics, how science is catching up. It's so important, I think, for healing. And I think this is what this is all about. You know, it's because I've been seeing spirits my whole life, like yourself. And I shoved it down for years because I was so afraid. And I had nobody around me to say, it's okay. This is what it is. And so I just stuffed it back into my body. It got trapped in disease and energy blockages and everything else. And I suffered for a long time until I started to decide to develop and open it up again. As soon as I did, it all just came rushing back. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Because it's yours. It belongs to you.
Yeah.
It's like taking a cork out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like champagne, and then everything starts to bubble over and you're going, oh my gosh, what? But then it was so natural. It just felt natural, so beautiful. And then I started to wonder because I felt different. Like, go back to your school example and scenario, is that people will start to kind of distance themselves from you. Have you found that in your life?
I do. And it usually comes down because people don't want to do the work themselves to get there. And they think the work could be years of therapy and all this drooling stuff, when it is actually not. It's a matter of acceptance. I can't tell you how many times I tell people, you cannot be a light worker unless you're a dark worker too. And people look at me, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, you have to go through the darkness in order to get to the light. You have to. How are you supposed to work the light if you don't know you're dark? Okay. If you're not accountable for your stuff? When you can look back and be accountable for everything bad that's ever happened to you and learn from that to move yourself forward to the light, that's what it's all about. Then you can recognize that darkness in others, and that's where you're able to help.
Yeah.
You know, the greatest light workers go through the worst of the dark.
Yeah. And I like that you explained it that way, because I remember meeting somebody before, like years ago, that was all about embracing the dark, but he took it to such a kind of a weird way, and he took it down the rabbit hole, and it never wanted to come into the light. It was always in the dark, and people start to get sick and suffer. I'm like, no, but I believe, like that, what you just said, you look into your dark places, you look into things that have happened to you, thoughts, beliefs, and whatever it is, so that you can illuminate it.
It's like chapters in your story.
Yeah.
It's chapters in your story. If I hadn't gone through half the stuff that I did when I was a kid, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. You know, so we have to be acceptance of that without hanging on to any guilt, shame, or fear, because they belong to the third dimension. And, you know, use it properly for yourself to propel yourself forward, which again is energy manipulation. You know, you got to transmute that darkness. You know, what's that quote? You got to say, oh, what is this teaching me?
Yeah. Right?
Instead of stuffing it down and burying it, you know, and when you do that, you do move forward. And people will look at you weird because you shine. I'm under constant attack, like you wouldn't believe. I've got haters, so many haters. and bring it. You know, if I can show you the light through your own darkness, then I've done my job. You know, like, that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
You know, people will hate you because you shine. They will. They just do. And those are the ones that need the help the most.
Yeah. Is that why too, when I know you could tell me if you went through this as a young adult or a teenager, when you start to realize what you have and what you can develop and how to do it, and you do start to change and shine, did you find you lost groups of friends, or you lost close people in your life, or did you find the opposite?
I found the opposite. You know, I had lots of friends. I really did. I was always a weird girl in school, and I was okay with that, right? But I did attract a lot of darkness as well. You know, I was almost murdered twice.
What?
Attempted kidnapping, because somebody noticed me here, somebody noticed me there. It's like moth to flame.
Wow.
So and they didn't even know who I was. It's just my energy, right? Wow. I attracted a lot of violent relationships in my younger days, you know. It wasn't like I was all wise and knowing through my teenage years into my young adulthood whatsoever. You know, so it was a lot of darkness and trouble there, you know, learning relationships, and people always want to put out your light. So there's quite the opposite of that as well, right?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I can see that. And people, who wrote this? Somebody wrote this, and I read it one day, and I went, yeah. It was talking, Marianne Williamson, because everyone knows that popular, famous quote of hers, right? Like, who are you not to shine your bright light and to be the best that you can be? That's paraphrasing. But that's basically what it is she was saying, we all are that light. We all need to shine that light. And if you don't, then you suffer in a way.
You do.
Right?
Yeah.
So why do people want to squash it?
I don't know. Maybe because they don't have courage, or they feel like they're not strong enough to face it. And again, that comes from limited beliefs from what other people are telling them. You know, when I teach my Defense Against the Dark Arts class, I tell them, you are in complete control. Other people throwing shade at you, that negative energy, that's all it is energy. Grab it, flip it back, right? Return to sender. That's all that you can do. It's all you can do. You know, if we accept that negative energy, then we're letting it in, and that's what makes us sick. So many people come to me and they're sick with other people's stuff.
Right.
It all belongs to somebody else. Somebody's given them that, and for whatever reason, we hang on to it, right? Yeah. Just like, you know, the Three of Swords will come up in tarot, the heartache. And I tell them, this will always be yours, but you don't have to wear it here all the time. You can keep it safe, put it in your back pocket. You know, you don't have to nurture it. You don't have to live off of it, right? We need to go through that. When you look at that card, it's got 3 swords stabbed through the heart. First thing you want to do is pull that sword out, but we can't. It's something that we need to move through in order to find that emotional intelligence behind it. And emotional intelligence is very important. We don't have much of that on this planet. Look at the jails and cemeteries filled with crimes of passion and good intentions, right? So when we suffer through our stuff properly, we get the wisdom, and that's wisdom will still lead us to the light. But lots of people don't want to face the pain. They just don't, and that's their choice, unfortunately. You know, you can't make people do stuff. Like, you know, being a healer, you know, you probably, I don't know where it came from, but the person that you're trying to heal has to be willing to give up what made them sick in the first place. I can do spells, I can do healing, I can do whatever I want on you, but if you're still going to make yourself sick with that, that's your choice, and I can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. I find that's the hardest thing, being a healer myself and working with healing, is that some people you really want to help. My oldest, dearest friend I knew since I was 11 died of brain cancer a year ago. And I tried to heal her.
Of course.
But I knew where it was coming from. I knew the thought patterns that were behind it and what was causing the disease. And unless she could change that, she wasn't going to heal.
That's right. Yeah, it's extremely tough.
It was hard. Yeah.
It is. I've got a long dead list myself. Abnormal amount of friends pass away, which is also part of my path, I realize. Right? But I tried, and you can't help somebody that won't help themselves. And until they start to remove all those plugs, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on that note, I want to ask, and you said something earlier.
Yes.
So you have a drink of water there.
Yeah.
You mentioned about, you said when you were 20 years into reading tarot, all of a sudden you realized that you're the combination of the mediumship and the tarot. So tell me how that evolved and how that works for you now.
So I don't know where it came from, but I myself had this limited belief to separate mediumship from my tarot. I don't know why, okay? That's just the way it was for me. I'd be reading tarot and I'd see a spirit or I'd get what I would call like junk in my mind and I'd push it away. I'd be like, no, not now. I'm reading tarot. Okay. And then it was actually when I first met Lynn, I joined up for her mediumship class. She's like, what are you doing here? You're already a medium. I'm like, yeah, but I want to advance it. I want to work with it. She's like, you know, all that stuff that happens to you when you're reading tarot? And I said, yeah. She goes, that's mediumship. You need to join them together. And I'm like, oh, okay. Right. It seems so distracting for me. Like I don't know why. I just never put the two together. It was just separate for me. So the very next day, I'm reading tarot, and this lady comes and sits down across the table for me. And I see this little old man pop up behind her, and he's like this, and I'm like, oh, it's her dad, right? How cliche is that? Oh, I think I have your dad here. I have dad energy. And I hear Lynn's voice, just like Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker. Trust, right? So I'm like, okay, I think I have your dad's energy here. Is this your dad? He's passed away. You know, he looks like this and that. And she's like, oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden, my mind started flooding with the junk that I used to call junk. Pictures of pots and pans. And I'm like, I hear Lynn again, trust. And I'm like, okay, here goes nothing. I'm like, for whatever reason, your dad's showing me pictures of pots and pans. Okay. Oh, I still get goosebumps when I tell this story. The lady freaked out. Oh my God, the last birthday present my dad ever gave me was my dream set of pots and pans. I was like, no way. So it just flipped right there for me. It changed everything. So now I just let it go. I tell it. And you know, if it's not for this client, it's for the next client. But it's usually right on it. It doesn't have to make sense to me at all.
Exactly.
That's part of the job. It's just a message for them. But it changed everything. So now I don't separate them anymore. Mediumship's not something that I promise. It just happens. It's kind of like TV channels for me. if they're on the same channel as me, that's fine. Sometimes spirits don't want to come through or they're doing something else. So I don't promise it, but it usually happens. Right, but yeah, I love it.
Isn't it all about intention? Kind of like if you're intending for...
You can ask for the intention, but if the energy isn't a match, it's not going to happen.
Good point.
It's just not going to be there. Yeah. So, you know, sometimes I've heard spirits, they don't want to talk to that person. They don't want to come through. Or sometimes grief itself, say... Somebody sits down, I lost my husband a couple of months ago. I haven't been able to feel him. Grief acts as a shield. It's a negative low vibration. And high vibration of spirits can't survive in a low vibration environment, so it doesn't match. So I tell them, you know, when the grief moves to something else, it'll start to lift that shield that you have on yourself, and then you'll be able to start to feel them more. Right? So that's the way that it works.
Yeah.
You know, and if the person is low vibration, you know, whether their spirit comes or not, that it could be a lot up to them as well. Yeah. Right? So I don't promise it.
Yeah, that's good.
No promises.
No promises, but what do you promise? Like, say I'm coming to you and I want a tarot reading.
Well, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, tarot, it's very different from oracle. It's full of salt and vinegar. It's the truth. I won't sugarcoat anything. Tarot doesn't, neither will I. But I can promise you're not going to hear my opinion on anything either. Everything out of my mouth is going to be from my spirit guides or yours.
Nice.
You know, I tell the truth. I read this story the way that it is, and tarot for me, it always gives the client an exit plan. Say they got a bad reading, there's always an exit plan for them, and it comes down to free will, choice, and consequences. Tarot's a lot more than just predicting the future. They do a really good job of pointing out the client's psychic abilities and their power, self-power within themselves. So I love that. that part of it too, right? But it's not an easy job. People bring a lot of their troubles to themselves, and I'm the bearer of bad news quite a bit. But I always end with the silver lining and the positive of it all. So it's prediction. You can still change these things.
Right.
This is just on the course of action that you're going now.
Well, that sounds positive to me. It's kind of like if I'm going down a kind of crooked path off of my purpose, just to use a word. And then I know I'm off, but I don't know how to change it. You can give guidance.
Absolutely. I love tarot so much. I hear about all this burnout, people having to take breaks. I've never had that in over 40 years.
Wow.
I burn out if I don't read tarot.
Wow.
I do.
So how is that possible? Because I think I know the answer, but what do you think is the answer for that?
I almost get high off of it. I think it's connecting to those high vibrations all the time. I'm already really high vibration. I don't know if I even know what it means to be grounded. Honestly, Paula, I don't know what it is. So I've always been 2 or 3 different places, right? But when I read tarot, I'm in service. And I think I get off on that a little bit. It's not ego. It's the feeling of spirit to spirit. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, what I came to do here on the planet. So I know it.
Yeah, and I love that, being of service, because it seems to be what most people are saying when they come in. People who work with others, right, to give guidance or healing. It's like it's being of service.
It is, so I'm in service in many different ways, all the way from funeral director. That's what we're in. We're in service there. And that's a whole other story, being a psychic medium and a funeral director.
Yeah. What's that like?
It's challenging. I asked my spirit guides many times, turn it off while I'm at work. Because, I'll get in body bags and I'll start to see the pictures play in my mind of what happened. And suicides, murders, all those kinds of things as well. It's not pleasant, on top of everything else that I have to do on my job. But I do use it to my advantage. I try to get information when the murder cases and stuff come in. I'll try to see what happens. Or
do you help out with that sort of thing?
Not professionally, no.
On the back burner?
On the back burner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
On the back burner. I can tell, or my spirit guide Jack will let me know, tell them they're into the psychic stuff. So be like, I can try to connect if you want. And sometimes spirits, they're busy right after they die, right? You got to give it a bit of time. They don't know time over there, but we do here. So, I'll use necromancy. People are like, well, raising the dead. No, that's not what it's about. It's about retrieving information from the body itself. It's a different kind of psychic energy. So I can pick up a lot of stuff that way too.
Is that kind of like, when you hold psychometry?
It's almost like almost the same kind of thing.
Body.
But with the body, the body will still hold information that you can see. So that's always interesting. In my second book coming out, I write a lot about, I call it the chapter Tales from the Morgue, about a lot of stuff. That was pretty strange to go through, right? But this one lady, I'll never forget, even though I asked to turn it off, it still comes through sometimes, right? And the morgue isn't, we try to keep it clean, but this one particular place, they had the same makeup brushes that were never washed over they were gross, okay? So I was still an early apprentice, and I was just about to start doing this lady's makeup, and she shows up, don't you dare touch that face with those brushes. Call my daughter and have her bring you my makeup bag. It's underneath my kitchen, my bathroom counter. I was like, okay. So I did, and she brought me her own makeup bag, and I did her makeup with her own makeup bag. So after that, I always asked in the arrangements, did your mom or your aunt have her own makeup bag that you could bring me?
Oh, wow.
But she was right there. Do not. So that was kind of interesting. She hadn't crossed over yet.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess she wanted to see what she was going to look like in her casket. Which was
like, we'll see how she does.
Yes. Yeah, but she was right there. Just seconds before I was going to do it. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I love that you're saying you can shut it off, right?
Yes. And I also do that for tarot too. Being super psychic, right? I don't need to know your shame or your guilt or the crimes that you've committed, for many years. Overload, too much information for me. So, I can also promise my clients that your privacy is protected as well.
Yeah.
I don't need to know everything. Just give me the message to give to them. I don't want to see it. I don't need to see it. I don't need to go in that deep. Yeah. Show me what I need to help them. And then that's where the line gets drawn.
Wow.
So that's huge relief.
That's huge.
Huge relief.
Because I think there's so many people, like you were talking before, who are walking around with the ability, or they're not totally tuned out of it, and they think they're crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It happens all the time.
Yeah. It's like, how easy or how wonderful would that be if they could know that they could just turn it off, or dial it down?
You can. We're always in control. It's energy manipulation. And once we start to, your perception of it starts to change and you realize that you can do that, totally different ball game.
Yeah.
Totally different ball game.
That's important. All right. So let's talk about, I call it education and services.
Yes.
What is this?
So I just want to teach people other things. I want to teach people how to protect themselves energetically. I want to take away myths. And I'm really passionate about teaching traditional tarot as well. It's getting lost amongst all the new age tarot and oracle decks. And it kind of started to drive me nuts. It's a very ancient art, and it started to slip away. I've never had a tarot reading. The only tarot reading I ever had was from my dad, was when my dad was teaching me.
Oh, wow.
I would go for tarot reading and out would come the oracle cards, or somebody would put down 3 tarot cards and then give me a psychic reading. You know what I mean? And I know the difference. So I started to teach tarot, and I understand it's complicated, okay? There's 78 cards, and this way, that way, and it's a lot. It's a lifelong relationship with your deck. So I broke it down into like 7 different classes and teach it like kindergarten, right? And it's been really successful. And I've had lots of students go on to read tarot now.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really passionate about teaching tarot, and pretty much, I've got a list in here of all the classes that I've written.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff in there. Whatever people need help with, I'll help them with it.
Wow.
I started teaching classes in my friend's kitchen, and then, I'm done with the metaphysical shops now. They're behind me. Like, that's a whole other conversation. But
been there, done that.
Yeah. So I'll teach them privately on Zoom or whatever now, until of course one day I'd love to own my own school, but we'll see about that.
Ooh.
Right? That'd be kind of cool.
From your lips to God's ears, right?
Yeah.
Set the intention.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I love teaching people. It's the light that goes off in them. People have way more control than they realize. Yeah. They don't give themselves enough credit, and that's part of why I'm here, is to help them see that they are in charge and that they do have power.
Yeah. Exactly. Just because I know from a mediumship point of view, I know what power means, but how do you mean it in this context?
Power is in self-empowerment, trust and belief in yourself. So let's say defense against the dark arts. People are like, oh, I'm cursed. No, you think that right away, you're allowing that negative energy to come into you, right? So power to me it's empowerment. It's about standing strong, believing in yourself and your energy that you have, self-confidence, self-assertiveness. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Trust.
Yeah. What do you say to somebody, say they come and say they're cursed, or I've had somebody come in and say, I want to know the lottery numbers.
So lottery numbers are huge, right? Why don't we have the lottery numbers? So when I asked Jack about that, he says it's because it's monetary gain. Money only lives on earth. It's not a concern of theirs. But isn't it funny how when you need it, it comes along? Yeah. So they don't pay that much attention to it. Plus, we write our lives to ourselves before we even get here. If we're not thinking about money over there, then we're not going to write it in over here.
Never heard that before, and that makes so much sense. Thank you.
Right? I know.
I'm like, that's why I'm poor. Just kidding. I'm not poor.
No, we're not.
That's why I always get what I need, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I was just watching, there's a tarot or oracle card reader She calls herself a tarot reader that I follow on YouTube. And she was talking about, she's now shifted into manifestation and money and abundance manifestation and teaching that because she's done it.
Yeah.
And she said, and I resonated with this so much, was that she always said to herself that she would always get what she needed, but it was never more than.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she realized that, she thought, wait a second, I need to shift that.
Yeah.
And so she did. She went and shifted it. And then she goes, I've got £100 in the bank. I'm buying a new home. You know, all these things. And I was just like, huh.
It's true. I've got everything I've ever wanted too, you know, and you just have to believe that it's already yours. That's just the way that it is. But actual cash money is something different. It's something totally different.
Why? And that's so, it just baffles my mind. Okay, this is something I've been playing with lately. Everyone knows I play a lot. I like to do experiments on myself, right? And see what will happen. So went on a tarot, not tarot, got tarot in the brain now. Went on a whale watching tour about 2 months ago. And the touring group had said there'd been no whales for a few days. And so my 3 friends and I, we're all mediums, we're all just like, put the vibes out there to the whales and ask them to come. Of course, we saw tons of whales. But not only that, kind of partway through the whale watching trip, I said, I'm going to ask them to do a dual tail wave because there was 2 around together. So I'm going to ask those 2 to do a tail wave together, tandem. And no word of a lie, 20 minutes later, what did they do? I could see them and my heart started to beat really fast. And I was like, I could feel it. I'm like, they're going to do it. My friend said, no way. I said, they're going to do it. Watch. So she had her videotape on and they did it. They went around a few times together and then they went under and they blew their spouts and then they went under and then they came up, breach, tail wave. And I was just like, I'm getting chills now thinking about it. But I was like, you can intend it and then you will see it, but you have to believe it.
You have to believe it. And that's also animal communication too. Ask for it, right?
Yeah. But I want to do that with money.
Yes, money is a totally different thing.
I'm going to talk to my money is what I've been doing.
Yeah, you know, it's easy. That's confirmation for you.
Yeah.
Like with the whale story, I had the same thing. Last fall equinox, I went out to Neck Point Park. You know, I've grown up on the West Coast my whole life. I'd never seen the killer whales. And all summer, I just missed them here and there, right? I was like, So I went and did the fall equinox ceremony. And, you know, in those Sabbats, we don't ask for things. It's just about giving thanks. But in my mind, I was thinking, the only thing that this summer missed was seeing the killer whales. You know what? I did the ceremony, finished meditation, opened up my eyes, pack of 4 of them right in front of me. Tears. I was like, oh my God, did I summon the whales? No. But they knew, they could feel it.
Yeah.
That's a gift from the universe. It's confirmation. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. There was a mom and dad and 2 little babies right there. I couldn't believe it. They were right there.
Wow.
It was amazing. So we need those confirmations, you know, as much as we do believe in, the earth is a heavy place. This is hardest dimension in the universe. So the universe will give us whales instead of wads of cash.
And also I think that story also, it makes me think about the power of asking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've heard in all the big books, asking it is given and that we need to, that's how you manifest, right? Is to intend and to
believe that it's yours already.
Believe that it's yours already. But it's so true. Yeah. And my guides keep telling me magic. We need magic in this world.
We do.
And I think that's why things are starting to become more normalized, right? People aren't as scared of the word witch as they used to be, or of shaman, or of, energy healing. Even 20, 30 years ago it would have been just like, what are you talking about? And now people are curious.
They are. That's why I'm just out there now. I don't hide behind anything anymore. I just don't. I refuse.
Yeah.
Just refuse.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finally started to do that because for years my family didn't believe, right? So I just hid it and I would do my own thing and then come, in front of them and be somebody different. And I got to the point where it just made me sick. And I said, no, I got to be me.
Yes, you do.
So now everybody knows who I am. And now they've thrown me for another loop. Thank you, Spirit. Love you, Haichka. Now I'm working with psychic surgeons and that's just put me in a whole nother
Yeah.
Weirdo category.
We do that in Sikkim. We do psychic surgery. Yeah.
That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's like, it's great.
Yeah.
It's magical. It's really powerful.
It is.
But again, people have to believe.
They do. And you know, we can believe all we want. And, you know, you got to be careful with your clientele as well. There's a lot of people out there that like to be sick, you know. And there's a lot of fakes out there too that make them sicker. So, you know, part of my awareness lectures, you know, I'm like, if you're making an appointment with your healer once a month, you're not seeing a healer, you know, be careful of that kind of stuff. They can make you sicker than what you already are as well. So there's a lot to be aware. It's a big battle, you know, when it's the authenticity.
Yeah.
That's important. So it's not easy for people like us because we're going against people that are also categorizing themselves in the same realm as we are, right? So it's still a battle. You can only do what you can do. I have to turn tarot clients away all the time.
Oh,
Yeah, they want me to solve their problems for them or tell them what to do. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because I always say to Spirit too, it's like, I'm not doing this for personal gain. I'm being of service, right? So for me with the healing clients too, it's like, I had one lady call me and she was referred and she goes, I'm going to book you 3 in a row. And I said, no, don't. I said, you should only have to come for 1 if they're working properly for you.
That's right.
And so she's supposed to actually come on tomorrow. And I'm curious to see if she does or not, right? I sent her a message. I said, if you're feeling good, don't even feel like you have to come.
Yeah.
Because I'm not here to profit. I'm here to help you heal yourself and be well.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. We get the energy going and the rest is up to you.
Exactly, right?
And that's the work people are afraid of doing, coming back to the original conversation there.
Yeah.
They just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why some people they get into that comfort zone of being sick.
Yeah, that must get really, I don't understand that because that must just get really tiring. Actually,
Well, they're sick and they're tired.
yeah. Yeah, you're so right.
Like, if I don't hear from my tarot clients in 6 months to a year, that's great. You know, I know they're doing well, you know, they listen to the advice and they're on the way, right? But, you know, people, they'll take advantage, they'll try to book, like, say once every couple of weeks, and I'm like, that's not what tarot is for. I've got a spell on my deck, like a time range from 3 to 4 months, so within a season. So it's like, let some time play out. Did you make those decisions that you had to make? No, don't come to me for quick answers to your life. You have to do it. Again, it's that free will, choice, and consequence thing, right? You have to make your own decisions. You know, I can show you this, show you that, show you all these, but ultimately it's your choice.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yep. You can just illuminate things, and if they want to follow, they will. If they don't, they won't.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
It is.
I love that.
It is. I can see it clear as a bell, right? No,
Yeah.
don't, you know, if you do this, this will happen. There, you know, tarot is suggesting these are the results and blah, 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 blah. And then they'll get deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, well, that's not what this is for. Those are decisions. Or what will happen if I go ahead and you know, make this decision. I'm like, well, have you made that decision yet? No. Well, then your answer's not going to be there. That too, right? We can look at alternative endings here for you. But if you haven't made a decision, then it still doesn't exist. The outcome doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Good point. Definitely a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I love it. I love it so much. So, you know, I've got clients all over the world now, and I love it so much. You know, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Totally. And I think what you said about being authentic, I think it's also authentic and integrity, right? Go hand in hand. And I totally believe, because I've been living my truth now, is that the people that believe in you will be there.
Yeah.
Right? And the people that aren't and don't believe in what you're doing, they'll just either fade away or they won't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, you've got other commonalities.
I do. I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm so far past that now. You know, it doesn't matter. I've already been through the the pitchforks and the ridiculing and the torches.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't bother me now.
Past lives of being drowned and set on fire.
Yeah,
and all the rest of
no,
it,
doesn't bother me anymore at all. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's another thing. Past lives.
Okay.
So I do a lot of past life regressions, and it's like my second favorite thing to do besides tarot. With the mediumship and the psychic ability, and it's the remote viewing that kicks in. And when I'm doing the past life regressions, it's like I'm right there with them. I can see what they're seeing. I can see what they're wearing. I can smell what's in the air. It's just incredible. I just love it so much. It's so cool.
Okay, that just opened a whole nother
so cool.
stream of questions.
So I'll usually do you can usually squeeze in 5 or 6 lives depending on the client and the amount of time that we have. The first one, getting them through, if they've never done it before, it's always the same thing. They can't see, it's clouds, it's money, but I can see them clear as a bell. I can see you're wearing a white sundress with yellow flowers on it, but I can't tell them that, right? So I'm like, okay, they're there. So the second one, they come in, and then I can confirm what they're seeing, right? It's so cool.
Oh, wow.
I just love it. Once I even got to see dinosaurs with one client. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. Then I had a Ted Bundy victim.
Oh.
I could smell his body odor, the blood. So I don't ask for protection when I'm doing that kind of stuff because I want to be there when we see it.
Right.
And I've always got the ability to call the client back out of it. It's their choice if they want to experience the death or not. We can stop at any time with the knowledge and back out, right? But some people like to go through that and actually see where they've died and stuff. I had a woman die on the Titanic. When I was on the ship, I could smell the sea salt. I could feel the steel. Like it's just incredible. So I just love doing that. I get to go on all these adventures through past life experiences.
And this is through remote viewing.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm going to be speaking to somebody that teaches that for the Monroe Institute here on the island.
Oh, yeah.
So, that topic just fascinates me too. I'm like, everything's so cool, right?
It is. It's so cool.
But to use that in tandem with something you're already using, like the past life regression, that sounds like next level.
It's so cool. When I first started learning how to do it, I just thought that was just a side effect. I was like, oh, when you go in and you see this, and we don't see anything. I'm like, what? It just must be me. Never mind, right? But yeah, no, it's really amazing. It's really, really cool. I love it.
So are you leading them through hypnotic suggestion, or how's that working?
Yeah, it's a light hypnosis, right? Yeah. It's a regression hypnosis.
Okay.
So I take them back, and we come back to Earth. And some people don't even come to Earth. They go to other planets.
Oh, like Dolores Canyon said.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And the first time that happened, that was crazy. She goes, I'm not there. She goes, I'm not going that way. I want to go over there. I'm like, okay, we'll go where you need to. Totally described this other alien race. And then this other lady, it happened to her too. And she was just crying hysterically because it wasn't a positive thing on this other planet. I was like, oh wow, it was just incredible. So and all I could see in that one was just like vibration, energy, white light vibration planet. It was really strange. So all these things exist. You know, it's just amazing.
I know. So do you believe, when I first met this medium years ago, and she said to me, imagine if time didn't exist and everything is occurring all at once. She goes, then is there such a thing as a past life? And I find that fascinating to discuss, right?
It is. I offer future life regression as well, or to go in to see what your future lives are going to be too. And everybody's like, what? Because we don't think of doing that. But yeah, you can jump forward down your line. We are a continuing story. You know, and this place, the other side, I think that could just be it's a rest spot for us to recharge our souls. Yeah. That kind of thing, you know. I don't know all the answers, but it could be, you know, it's awesome.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things to discover, I think, just right here and now. And that's the other thing. I feel like there's too many of us just becoming so complacent. right? And this is why there's this, they call it the big shift, they call it the awakening. And I think this is why it's happening, is because our human beings, ourselves here, so many have become completely complacent, and I don't even know why, because the world does need a lot of
We're at spiritual war. There's a lot of darkness
Yeah.
out there that does not want the vibration to raise.
Yeah.
And that's been going on for thousands of years. They've got us right where they wanted us. But
What
the
can we do?
shift is happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what can we do about it?
What we can do about it is just keep trying to raise the vibration. People ask me all the time, what's my purpose in life? Maybe your only purpose here is to raise the vibration of yourself, therefore doing it with others. Not everyone was allowed to come back to Earth right now. If you're here, then you've got a reason, a purpose to be here. And if that only purpose is to just raise the vibration, then you're doing your job. You know, thinking you got to be a lawyer or a doctor or all this other crap, that's all, again, limited 3D beliefs, right?
Totally.
So, you know, we're all here for a reason. When I astral project, there's this place that I like to hang out between the earth and the moon, and I can see things. And last summer, I saw something that broke my heart. It still gets me. I looked at the earth and there was a black, almost tar coming up over it. And it's the darkness that's trying to get us. There's a lot of dark forces here that want this to remain as a slave planet,
Right.
so to speak, right? They want to dumb us down, put out our fire, you know, and it started thousands of years ago, but we're fighting. That's why we're here. And so many young people, like teenagers and in their 20s, are coming for tarot readings, and they're showing up as Empress, like the most highest vibe, okay? I don't belong here. I'm like, no, this is where all that starseed stuff comes in, right? You're super high vibration. It's not that you're a new soul. You're just new to Earth, you know, and you're here for a reason, you know? And so that's all I can do is I try to point out people's empowerments to themselves to raise their vibration, and then my job's done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I totally believe that. I mean, I'm a trance channel. That's my main love, trance channel and healing. And during that, a lot of the times the guides will say that to people when they go, well, what is my purpose? You get that question all the time. They said, by being here, you're living your purpose.
Yeah.
And it's all about raising the vibration
It is.
so that we can get into the shift and we can make a change in the entire planet.
That's what we're doing.
And every time they say that, I just get chills. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're doing.
We're spiritual warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
I know, it's so cool.
Is there any greater purpose?
There isn't.
Yeah.
There's a call out all across the universe. And we're all here together right now to do it.
Oh, I should have called this podcast that. Yeah. Just kidding. But we'll talk about it. For sure.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I wrote my book. I came from one of the darkest places that there is, the Satanic Church. You know, and here I am raising the vibration for the planet. So don't label people, you know, don't give up on people. This is what you're supposed to do with that dark energy. So I'm here as an example.
And you know, it's kind of like a karmic irony that you came through your parents.
Yes.
Right?
It's totally ironic, you know, totally. You know, I had all the cards stacked against me, you know, but it all led to where I am now. So I wouldn't have changed any of it.
Yeah.
None of it at all.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's something to think about, right? And who said the other day? Oh, somebody I interviewed the other day was talking about how was told by an elder is that it takes 7 generations of ancestors to approve your birth. And she said, when you think of it that way, you're meant to be here. I just went, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? We won't know until we get over there and see it for ourselves. You know, we're born with amnesia, right? But that's a very positive theory. You know, not everybody is just allowed to come. All our past lives lead up to this one war that we're at now for sure. So, and you got to pass the tests, and a lot of people don't. Like I said, the earth is the hardest place. It's the hardest dimension, the ugliest dimension that there is. Lots of people get here and they fall off mission. the cards are stacked against them. Look at our addiction issues right now. That's coming from the dark on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So we can only do our best.
Yeah, true. And how could we say, what are some of the tips or what are some of the things that you do to keep raising your vibration or to keep it up there despite everything that's going on around us?
I look at where I've come from.
Yeah.
I do. And I remember every day that we're not here for long and that this is a mission that we're on. We're not, we're here for a blink of an eye. What are you going to do with it? And everything I do every single day is a choice that I make. So when I started changing my perception, like I said, I wasn't always this strong. I went through a lot in my younger years, and I was a teenage daughter, literally from hell, right? Put my parents through hell.
They asked for it.
They knew what they were getting into. And then my 20s and all that kind of stuff, it took a long time for that wisdom stuff to kick in. But at the end of the day, you wake up and make a choice. Are you gonna succumb or are you gonna rise? Right? Yeah. It's hard being human. It totally is. Because there's the depression, there's the sadness. All these things are built against us. And when you look, what are we doing here? We're raising the vibration of the earth because it's a low vibration, right? Not only as mediums and witches and psychics, we pick up on other people's energies that can make us sick. We also pick up on the earth's energy as well. So it's a lot. But as long as you keep fighting and you don't drown, you're going to make it.
Yeah.
The worst of it's behind me now because I choose it that way. Right?
Yeah. I like that. So, again, being self-empowered or empowered.
I see it coming. It gets thrown at me all day.
We're going to start wrapping up, but I want to know any last thoughts, anything final words that you want to share with the audience.
Just like the most important thing, I think, is what I said before, is the greatest light workers come through the worst of the dark. And if you can get yourself through that dark properly, then you've succeeded.
Yeah.
Everything, it depends what you're going to do with what given to you. And when we look back down our line and we can see that even the bad is good, if you've learned from it and you've transmuted that energy, then you've won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Good.
So once again, this was Kyla and Edwards.
Yeah.
Tell us where they can find you.
So that's distributed from Freeze and Press, but you can find it anywhere. It's on Amazon even right now, and it's got a lot of my family history in there. Oh, here she comes.
I knew she was coming.
And about going a lot of the dark that I went through. I have left some stuff open-ended, and that's where the second book is coming in. It's called On All Realms, and it fills in the stories about mostly 3D stuff, like a lot of the corporate hazing I went through in mortuary college and some of the things that I saw there. And it's that, and it's just about the in-between stories of the first book a lot, just stuff that happens to everybody. And once you get through that kind of stuff, it's all, I call it learning the dark, right? And that way you can balance it with your light. And when you're in balance, nothing can touches you.
Yeah.
And that's the important part. That darkness is always going to be right there. Like I said, the tragedies, the catastrophes, the heartache.
Yeah.
But when you bring that light up to balance it, it's empowering. Yeah.
So give us your website where people can find you to book a reading, or they can take one of your courses. And,
sure.
Yeah.
I don't have a website. I'm a little bit Gen X old school. I haven't made it that far. But you can find me on Facebook, Kyla Adrian on Facebook. Find my regular account or tarot, etc. on Facebook, or email me at kylaedwards73@gmail.com.
There you go. All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Paula.
It was a blessing having you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.